Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Making 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Was a One-of-Kind Prodigy. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what if's coming your way over in the making. And Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I did have 3 channels, Unmaking, Unmaking 2, and Making 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Naruto sat in front of Gar. As they spoke, he neither confirm or deny that he was this king of Uzu, that was the one responsible of annihilating the entire nation. As Naruto wiped away the country with his little explosive. Well, it did take a lot out of him, and not to mention, it was the first time he was doing it out in the open, but he eviscerated the entire country. He never stated to be a good guy in the first place, so there was no mistake in that. As he also took Fu as well. They were able to use Konan as a prop to draw out Obito. As she made her way towards the hidden arena, she watched. Looking at the destruction that she caused, the place was just a smoldering crater. Obito showed up, rather angry. The Uzumaki warrior was there though, as they were able to subdue him. In doing so, he could not use his ability. And Konan took out all of her anger, all of her pain on him. Hours, as she slashed, she cut, she tear. As Naruto made his way over to her, she fell, crying, as he just held on to her. Because after she got rid of him, she felt no more happiness. It was just a fleeting, pleasurable guilt, and then it was just gone. As Naruto spoke to her and brought her back home. Arriving back home, some troubling news came to Naruto. There was a traitor amongst his people. As Naruto chakra decimated the place, the whole grounds of Uzu started to shake. The monstrous, reaping, killing intent started to pollute the area. He had to calm himself though before he ended up blowing up the place by accident, as he made his way back to Konoha where Jiraiya was. It's been a long time, he greeted Jiraiya, as Jiraiya came with his 20 questions, but Naruto seemed to ignore him. As that pissed Tsunade off, why, as Naruto was just back, Jiraiya had to come with his 20 questions. But Naruto left a note for her, as she couldn't believe what she read. As she made her way off to meet him. So you guys, that was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. Tsunade was pacing in the living room of her house as she waited for Naruto to appear. Why was this happening? A damn traitor. Of all the shit that could happen, is there any confirmation that there is a traitor existing amongst the Uzumakis? Tsunade paused as she turned towards Guren, who was leaning against the wall. Enai is one of the most dangerous shinobis in the entire elemental nation. She is quite literally a jack of all trade. That is why we keep her on Uzu. Enai does not only possess the abnormal understanding of Fuin Jutsu that all Uzumakis understood, but she also has access to the Kongo Fusa and the Tenkigora Shinzen. Naruto said that her mastery of the Sentry technique rival his own, that she can sense emotion on a finite scale. She is incredibly important to Uzu as a whole, and as well as Naruto, as he has taken up the role As her older brother, if any suspect that there's a traitor in Uza, then there's a traitor in Uza. Gurren frowned. That still doesn't really explain how she knows that there's a traitor. The emotion sensing thing. It isn't like reading minds or anything. Like I said, Gurren, her understanding of the ability is something that has never been seen before. She can sense your emotions and even your intentions. Everything about your very being is displayed to her. Gurren blinked at the statement in shock. That's just cheating, she said. Despite the anger coursing through her, Tsunade laughed at the statement. To some degree, yes. But the world isn't fair, Gurren. Not fair at all. The Yamanakas can literally walk in your head. The Uchihas can control you with a glance. And there's more other bullshit abilities. Even your former master was basically immortal. A gimmick of course, but immortal nonetheless. Gurren had to give Tsunade that one. The world wasn't fair with abilities out there. So, if she can sense negative emotions, why hasn't the traitor been caught? Does she not have the ability to pinpoint the person that possessed these negative intentions? Tsunade sat down, as gifted as she is. Inai doesn't have the ability to turn off her ability. She's constantly sifting through people's emotions and chakra signatures. Every day, every hour, every minute, every second. That's another reason why Naruto keep her in Uzo. We don't want to take unnecessary risks with her, and add on to the fact that she has a fragile mental state. The only time that she's ever allowed to leave is when Naruto's personal guard is patrolling the outer regions of Uzo. A flash of gold interrupted them as Naruto appeared, as there was some blood on his cheek. He wiped the blood off with his thumb before glancing toward both women. The teen nodded his head towards Gurren, before he made his way towards Tsunade. You are a lot calmer now, she said. As Naruto sat down and leaned to the couch. I went hunting, he said. She moved closer to him as she caressed his hand. Any lead, she asked. We have a lead, he said. The person fled from Oza several hours before Inai. Informed Kara. I doubt they got too far though. I've sent the royal guard to track them down. The royal guard, huh? Said Tsunade. Despite the seriousness, she had to ask. It's a work in progress, said Naruto. Do you wish for me to aid them? Searching for this person, asked Gurren. It is not necessary, but I will not stop you if you wish to join the search. Gurren nodded. I want to be useful, she said. As Naruto beckoned her to come over, he raised his hand and touched her. The moment he did, she was gone in a flash. Once she was gone, Tsunade noticed something about him. What is wrong, she said. Something is bothering you, and it's not only about the traitor. As Naruto glanced towards her, your ability to decipher my mood at any given point is really annoying, he said. Well, your ability to dodge questions is also really annoying, she said back. So she said she poked him on the chest. Start talking. Naruto exhaled through his nose, as he remained quiet for an entire minute before he started speaking. I'm just so tired, he said, as he started to rub his eyes with his hand. I'm now becoming aware that I'm a leader, he said. People are depending on me now. This stress is something I never felt before. All those women, men, children, all of their lives depend on me and also they're resting on my shoulders. I didn't think that it was going to be so difficult. I hid behind my apathy for so long. When I did, I always didn't feel these emotions. And now they're just, as he clenched his fists. I just want this to be over already, he said. Her eyes softened as she looked at him. She gently pulled his head towards her chest as she started to comb through his spiky locks. Soft smile appeared on her face as his arms enclosed around her. She has never seen him show so much vulnerability before. Any problems that he could not solve with his fists, he pushed them aside. It was a stark contrast to the man that she was talking to several days earlier, who killed thousands upon thousands of people and act like he was just a normal day. The same man that was pressuring the entire elemental nations. What is it that you want, Naruto, she said. Before he could say anything, she spoke once again. I don't want to hear what Uza wants. I want to hear what the king wants. I want to hear what Naruto Uzumaki wants. Several minutes passed by in silence, and she gave him time. He didn't say a word, until his lips finally started to move. I want to feel happiness, he said. Time skip. As Tsunade placed on her green Hiyori, Naruto royal guards had tracked down the traitor 2 days ago. And there was a whole nother problem. The man was not important to Uza, nor was he a combat specialist or anything like that, but he had a talent for Fuinjutsu like most Uzumakis. He managed to encase himself in a barrier long enough to ramble on about some madness. He said something though. The rabbit goddess will walk the land once again. Tsunade had no clue what those words meant, but Naruto's demeanor had shifted once Ichi gave the report. The man was eventually killed and Stan had delved into his mind, but it was all for naught. His mind was completely wiped upon his death, and Naruto was now aggravated more than usual. He had waved off her concern and said that everything was fine, but she knew better. He was also a terrible liar, so there was that. Zetsu was most definitely involved in this whole ordeal, and it was becoming a big problem. That creature would not dare step foot in Uza because it knew that it would be annihilated on sight. Naruto knew this, she knew this, the royal guards knew this, and the creature most definitely knew that as well. But the fact that Zetsu was able to get one of their own, that was slightly worrisome. She did not doubt his ability to track down Zetsu and annihilate him. He most definitely would tear the entire world apart to find the creature. Even now he had hundreds of clones scouring, the elemental nations scouring for the Black Man. So far, there was no trace of him, but it's only a matter of time before one of Naruto's clones found him. As she left, Gorin was trailing her, watching her back from the shadows. As Tsunade knew that she was there as she walked. Both women arrived towards the council chambers. As Nico opened the door, Tsunade nodded as she and Gorin stepped inside. She moved towards her seat and sat down, as Gorin remained behind her. I and two others will be traveling to the Kage summit. Oniki is mad because I killed his shinobis. You all already know this is not new. Each Kage will be attending there, as well as their own personal guard. In my absence, the village will need a leader. Obviously, none of you are truly qualified, but I still have to choose. If I have to suffer at these dumbass meetings, then someone is gonna suffer here, she said. As she turned her gaze, Kakashi, you'll be the one to suffer, she said. I have left plenty of paperwork for you. Be grateful Shizune has marked what to sign off. A tired sigh escaped Kakashi, as that just amused her. As for the shinobis who will be accompanying me, Jiraiya and Gorin, as that particular statement caused several eyebrows to raise. One would think that he would choose Naruto-san and be done with it. She glanced towards Shikaku who spoke up. Bringing a Jinchuriki is forbidden, and while I don't really care about the neutral territory of the Land of Snow, I would rather not have more annoying problems. Because Kage may be the container of Shikaku, but he's still a leader and he's allowed to attend. As Shikaku nodded, another one then spoke. What will be discussed at meeting, Hokage-sama? Her sight landed on Hayashi. Oniki called for a meeting after Take was erased off the map. Rumors that the king of Uzu has been circulating. No one has any solid evidence about it though. The meeting would most likely focus on that particular subject, but I doubt the old bastard would be quiet about me destroying shinobis though. He would probably try to demand something of importance to Konoha, or threaten the village, or wish to invade Uzu to see if these rumors are true. Any one of these options are there, but I prefer the second. It will give me a reason to raise the banners. All of the members look toward each other. Do you personally believe that Uzu is being revived? Tsunade looked towards Shikaku, who spoke up once again. Despite being a small clan, Uzu was a force to be reckoned with. They were able to hold off 3 major nations, and it was a surprise attack with no reinforcements. If there are some survivors who manage to escape, they will be holding a vendetta against other nations who attack them. And if they indeed have an individual that possesses the power to destroy an entire country, well, they will make themselves known very soon. Perhaps they also have a vendetta against us. As Inuichi raised the eyebrow, a vendetta against Konoha? For what reason? Shikaku sighed heavily. Troublesome. The king probably suspects that there is foul play on Konoha part. It doesn't help that Tsunade ear out Danzo's darker ploys. While I don't disagree with your actions, Tsunade-sama, it would paint a bad picture for any surviving Uzumakis. There are some things that just can't be kept a secret, she said. It is what it is. Is it not inconvenience that Naruto and disappear around the same time these rumors of the King of Uzu begin to surface? Said Shikaku. Everyone in the room tense as they glance towards Tsunade. Anything that revolved around the blonde was usually not displayed in the council room or spoke about. And now Shikaku was basically saying that Naruto was not to be trusted. Before Tsunade could say something, a voice spoke, questioning my loyalty to the great tree, Shikaku-san. As everyone looked up as Naruto was standing on the ceiling, his arms folded. As he landed silently behind Tsunade. Always with the theatrics, Naruto, said Kakashi. But Naruto ignored him as he focused on Nara's head. The two men looked at each other for several seconds, before Shikaku closed his eyes with a yawn. Do you truly blame me? It is no secret to anyone in Konoha that you hold a great disdain for Konoha and his people. I don't necessarily blame you either. Add not to the fact that you possess a Harashin, and that you're possibly the strongest shinobi in this village. Connecting dots and making guesses are what I'm good at, remember? As Naruto looked towards the man before shrugging. It is convenient, isn't it? He said rhetorically before he glanced towards Nelly. Up, he said. She raised her eyebrow at his bold, demanding statement. So bold, as she got up. He sat down before pulling her in his lap. As he then turned back towards the shinobis. You only have coincidence backing your statements. True, said Shikaku. And while I don't exactly believe in coincidence, in the shinobi lifestyle, I still have a duty to perform as a Konoha shinobi. As Naruto rolled his eyes, the loyalty that you people possess this village is incredulous. Naruto, said Tsunade. As Naruto sighs, he rests his head against the leather chair. Accusations and insinuations won't solve anything. It will just cause more paranoia. As she glanced towards him, who are you loyal to, Naruto-kun, she said. You, said Naruto. Good, she said, because I would have break you if you said anything else. Violent woman, he said. Your compliments are always uplifting. Such a good boy you are, she said. The cough of Tsunade interrupted the both of them. Sorry if I'm being overly bold, but are you two intimate? The two blonde looked towards Tsunade, their face blank. As Tsunade was one to speak, I don't believe it's anyone's business what we are or what we aren't. Should it bother you, then you must voice your displeasure. Silence filled the room, as no one said anything. As Naruto was the one to break that silence. You have more important things to worry about than your leader, private life. If you do have an issue though, then I'll be willing to solve it. Not a single individual in the room dared to challenge his statement. Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. I wish to speak with you when this is over. Kakashi nodded with an eye smile. Time skip. As Naruto stared at Gurren for several seconds, before he glanced towards Jiraiya. I have markers all over the elemental nation. Why? Irrelevant. Do not ask because I will not answer. I will be teleporting you towards the border. Gurren placed her hand on Jiraiya's shoulder. Jiraiya doing the same for Tsunade's shoulder. As Naruto glanced towards Tsunade, do not be so foolish. And I mean you, Auntie Tsunade, he said. As the woman pouted, as he flashed them away. As he turned towards Kakashi who stood there. Come, I wish to speak privately. As Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder and they were gone. They reappeared at Team 7 training ground. Naruto placed hands in his pockets as he walked towards the lake. As Kakashi walked in stood beside him as Naruto was silent for several seconds. And the silence went on and on, until Kakashi spoke. So Naruto, what do you want to talk about? I am curious about your opinion regarding Shikaku theory. Well, it has some weight, but I'd rather give you the benefit of the doubt. As Naruto nodded, and if I was, he said. Kakashi flipped a page in his book that he brought out. Then we would have a conflict of interest, he said. Naruto nodded at the statement. Obito is dead. Kakashi closed the book in front of him, and his eyes for a couple of seconds before he spoke. I do not doubt your words, but do you have definitive proof? As Naruto pulled a scroll as he released the object inside of it, a small glass jar with water inside. Inside that jar was the Mangekyo Sharingan, the same one that Kakashi possessed, Obito's other eye. As Kakashi closed his eyes and went silent for a few seconds, as Naruto sealed away the jar once again. I am also curious about your opinion on me and Tsunade," said Naruto. "As a Jinjulki, I've adapted to certain things that my Biju inside can do, sensing the negative emotions of others. You don't approve. I'm curious why that would be," said Naruto, as he could feel it. "It's not that I don't approve, but it's more on the line of you being taken advantage of, or being manipulated." As Naruto glanced towards the man before shrugging, "I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm fine." Kakashi pulled out his book once again. "So, when will it take effect?" he asks. "Right about now," said Naruto. As Kakashi's book fell, his hands dropped into his side. "You are a threat to my plans, Kakashi-sensei," said Naruto. "All along," said Kakashi. "Yes," said Naruto, as he glanced towards the paralyzed man. "You knew I was never loyal to Konoha to begin with." Kakashi gave a bitter laugh in response. "It didn't stop me from trying." As Naruto nodded, "The philosophy that you gave me back then shook my world. Power is absolute. It corrupts the individuals who gain it, and it changed them. Would you say the same about me?" Naruto asked. He did not get a response on Kakashi, as he shrugged his shoulders. "I committed a true atrocity, and I did not lose any sleep over it." "How far do you believe I would go, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi dropped to his knees as he grunted. Would your parents be proud of these actions?" he asked. "Sadly, I will never find out. My hands are stained with blood from the thousands of innocents that I've killed. I do not deserve a happy ending, and I've acknowledged this. I've accepted it." Sweat dripped down Kakashi's face as he sweat once more. "Tsunade knows," he said. "She's my queen," said Naruto. Your plans. What are they?" said Kakashi. As Naruto glanced towards the dying man before speaking. "I wish to break down the entire shinobi system. This world was always destined for failure. Men cannot understand one another. I will force this world to its knees and start anew. And I possess the power to do so." Kakashi breathed and became shallow. His world started to darken. His vision started to fade away. "You are a great sensei, Kakashi. Thank you for giving me a purpose in life. Without your guidance, I would have surely killed myself a long time ago," said Naruto as he crouched down. As he placed a hand on the man's shoulder. "I'm sorry, Kakashi Hatake," he said. Time skip. Tsunade was freezing her ass off. She really hated the cold. At least, she was finding the scene amusing. "If you ogle my body one more time, I will actually kill you, and you will not be missed," said Gorin, as Jiraiya stepped away from her. Gorin was most definitely invited to her and Naruto's wedding. Tsunade loved her, while she was annoyed because of Naruto's rush decision at first. She come to really like Gorin, like the daughter she always wanted. Shizune didn't really count because she was basically her daughter in a sense already. Teiwaya was a close second place to Gorin though, but only because the girl reminded her of Kushina most times. Leaving Konoha was a rash thing that she did back then, because of her personal feelings. Most times she wondered what would happen if she had stayed. Could she have aided Minato against the Kyuubi that night? Would Kushina survive if she was there that fateful night? So many what ifs and so many regrets. She had to focus on the future though. The past could not be changed. There was no point dwelling on it. It was just too painful. She glanced up towards a rather large building that was being provided for the Kages. There was a lot of samurai surrounding it. That was not surprising, this was their home after all. Shinobis were looked down upon by the samurais. Tsunade couldn't really fault them for it. Samurais were never quiet about their disdain for shinobis. Shinobis were the cause of every major war in the elemental nation. And when they caused war, there was always collateral damage. A lot of it, but for a shinobi that was normal. But for the other people that weren't involved, well, it was incredibly bad for them. But Naruto was gonna change all of that. Everything. Time skip. The smell of stale coffee and spoiled takeout assaulted his nostrils as he entered Uza Labs. As he saw a pile of papers with mathematical charts and many other things all over them. As he made his way. No. Yes, I did. Never mind. As Naruto spotted Karen, who was mixing two liquids in a beaker. His head tilted as she banged her head on the steel table. She then shot to her feet. Of course, I got it, idiot. Stupid idiot, she said, as she started to search for something around the laboratory. As Naruto watched her, when Teiwaya said that she was a bit obsessed with her project and experiments, she was not lying one bit, as he counted 23 coffee cups, and those were the ones that he could actually see from where he was. Surely there will be more when he ventured into the actual room. As he stepped inside, the moment he did, she was aware of his presence, as she spun around in her seat, a bit too fast as she hit her feet on the metal. As she fell, she reached out trying to grab onto something, but she pulled many beakers down with her, and many vials containing strange liquids. She hit the ground that thud as many things broke and spilled. She gave a quiet groan of pain as she lay on the floor. Just kill me now, she said. As Naruto strode towards her, his hands in his pockets, she glanced up and saw that he was smiling, as he found the whole thing amusing. From this angle, she could see why Tsunade was chasing after him. He had the confidence that only Kage himself could show, and this natural bravado. And also, he was hot, incredibly so. When Teiwaya said that you were harmless, I actually did believe her. But clearly, she and I was wrong. You're a danger to yourself. Her face became red in embarrassment as she tried to sink in the floor, which obviously did not work. Just kill me, please. I am too socially awkward for this. You are far too valuable to me. I cannot grant you this wish, said Naruto. She was more embarrassed because of his words. She was valuable? Blasphemy. It was only because her intellect outweighed her really awkward personality. Even though his beautiful blue eyes looked down towards her with amusement. Naruto was really lucky that he was hot, because if not what, said Naruto? She froze. Was she talking out loud? Oh no, this can't be happening. Tsunade found out about this, as she tried to physically melt herself on the ground, but it was not working. As amusing as it is to witness her antics, I have come for business, Karen, he said. She blinked as she got to her feet, as she pushed everything to the side, acting like none of that just happened. What can I do for you, Naruto-san, your majesty? As she froze. As Naruto raised her eyebrow. You see, I do this thing. I don't know how to properly address you, so I just go into awkward silence. But that just makes things a lot worse. And when I do speak, I don't tend to stop, and that just makes things even worse. And I don't know how to properly address you. And also, you kinda scare me, she said. Please don't kill me. As Naruto stared at her for a good minute. You are very odd, he said, as he stepped from beside her and looked towards the board, as there was drawings. Things about DNA, as he studied the board for several seconds. As Karen waited there. You've managed to splice the DNA successfully. She stepped towards him as she looked towards his drawings and diagrams. As she nodded, it was like a switch had been flipped. Her entire personality shifted. As she grew sharper, her awkward demeanor melting away like he was never there to begin with. As Naruto took note of that, she was also triggering his sixth sense for danger. I was able to do this a long time ago, while I was under Orochimaru employment. I never informed him that I was able to perfect its old work. A gifted man he was, but he lacked finesse. His mind was never properly suitable for this work. As Naruto turned towards one of the computers that had several structures of DNAs. Why keep it from him then, he asked. Senju DNA is very finicky. The mistake that Hiruzen made all those years ago was trying to replicate the Mokiton with Hoshirama DNA. You can't just replicate something that is not actually a bloodline. As Naruto turned towards her, demanding an explanation as she pointed towards the screen. The Mokiton isn't a bloodline. It is as simple as that. What other Senjus, besides Tsunade, who is not a direct descendant of Hoshirama, has ever wielded it before? You cannot just replicate nature. It does not work like that, she said. What is the insinuation that you're making, said Naruto. Tsunade is a world-best medic. There has never been someone like her before. If there was anyone that can make it work, it would be her. How she did it though? I have no idea. She would have not only survived the transplant of her grandfather's DNA, but she would also manage to successfully harness the chaotic nature of the Mokiton, and it defies the very law of nature. It is rather bold of you to say that nature engine wouldn't allow such a thing to exist, said Kurama. What are you saying, said Naruto out loud. Karen glanced towards him, but she realized he wasn't talking to her. You are a sage, Naruto. Actively stare at Tsunade for a long period of time, and you will find your answer. As Naruto turned back towards the DNA on the screen, as he went quiet, he then glanced back to Karen. This is not Senju DNA. A small smile came on her face. No, it's not, she said. Orochimaru. Did he never thought to try alternative, Naruto asked. Karen scoffed. Your father would have never allowed Orochimaru near your mother. He'd have rather slit Orochimaru's throat. And he knew this. Orochimaru was never quiet about his disdain for Minato. Tsunade was also absent at this point, so he was never able to finish his project. Until he found Teiwa and I, though, using our Uzumaki genes. But I always sabotage the results. As Naruto focused on her, you are more dangerous than I originally assumed. As her smile shifted, as she glanced towards the glass jars that held the Sharingans, Orochimaru was careless. You are more dangerous, and it only makes sense. He was more obsessed with his task of becoming immortal and the Sharingan. Interesting subjects, yes, but kind of boring. As Naruto picked up the jar, if you speak so lightly about the situation, I assume that you managed to merge all three together, correct? She nodded as she walked towards a separate computer. What I found interesting is that all three strands of DNAs are connected. There has always been rumors that the Senjus and the Uchihas are distant relatives. That was before the war in clan era. But they are so closely related that it's baffling. The Uzumakis are a byproduct of the two. They contain less fragments from the Uchihas, but they are very close to the Senjus, which should make sense since they have intermingled in the past. It's almost like there's a missing limb between the three. I mean, why would the Uzumakis have trace fragments of the Uchiha? That just wouldn't make sense. A missing link, Naruto thought to himself, between three of the most powerful clans to ever exist in Konoha. What was a missing link? A clan that was here before even the war and clan era days. What would that be? The Hyugas. Karen was snapped from her thoughts when she heard him spoke. The Hyugas? As her gaze snapped, the Hyugas. They have always been in the Uchiha shadows. It was almost easy to forget that they were here, even before the clan eras as well. That could work. It was starting to make sense. Both the Hyugas and the Uchihas were known for their visual prowess. The Senjus and the Uzumakis were known for their vitality and their powerful chakra. Interesting. She needs Hyuga DNA to further delve into this. I will provide you what you need, but it will take some time. It seems I have taken things too fast once again. Naruto sighed in annoyance as he nodded his head. I will be interrupting the Kage meeting soon, and I need to make preparations. As he turned to leave the room. But Karen spoke. Would Enai be joining you for this? As Naruto glanced back to her, Enai, stay in Uzo, he said. I have always wondered how far family would go for one another. This lab has some very interesting things in it that should not reach light of day. Then it will be best if you do your job. Silently, said Naruto, as Karen pressed a button, as two females appear on the screen of the computer. You know, there's a saying that goes something like, a daughter, first love, is your father, and a son, first love, is your mother. Karen was unable to keep on speaking because of a choker that was no on her shoulders. It was not weighing her down, nor was it trying to suffocate her, but she knew exactly what he was doing. It was a message. It is best for you to continue doing the tasks I've laid out for you. You are incredibly useful to me and the Uzumaki clan as a whole. But like all things in life, you can become useless in an instant. There is always. His eyes turned red. A fate worse than death, as Karen felt the fear. As he left, she had to physically hold on to the table to steady herself, keeping herself calm. As she glanced toward the screen, there was two photos. One of them was off. Kushina Uzumaki and another Uzumaki woman, Zetsu Uzumaki. Time skip. As Tsunade stepped through the doors, at the moment only she and Gaara was here. As the leader of Iron Country greeted her, explained the situation and rules that all Kages must follow, standard procedure or whatnot. It didn't really bother her and she accepted for what it was. Mifune was a reasonable man, and one that she respected. Unlike many shinobis in the world, she did not underestimate the samurais. They were far more deadly than people realize. She glanced towards Jiraiya and Gorin for a second. As she glanced towards her fellow Kage, Gaara Dano, she said. as Gar greeted the woman. Tsunade don't know, he said. She placed her Kage hat in front of her, as Gar placed on his hat as well. We haven't had a chance to speak in person. Gar nodded. Such as the world we live in, he said. The duties of a Kage are strenuous. Tsunade nodded as she glanced towards Tamar and Gonkru. She eyed him for a second or two before turning back to Gar. Ask your question. I am sure that Naruto already answered it. But if you wish to hear from a source, then go ahead, she said. There was only one word that Gar said. Why? The Hidden Stone cannot move a contingent of shinobis and not expect retaliation. Whichever way he decided to spin it is irrelevant. He wanted something. You do not just move 1000 shinobis without a reason. For several weeks, those numbers sat on your border for no reason. That is not possible. Do not mistake my words for disrespect, but the stand is still recovering financially. The stand made their revenue from trade, and the stone cut off 3 of their major trade routes. I doubt that your people did not feel the impact. Regardless, it was only for a short period of time. As Gar just nodded at that, it did not help that the Akatsuki attacked you at the same time that Oniki decided to make his move. I don't doubt for a second that he was not trying to bleed your country dry. The San is allied to Konoha. We aided you when the Akatsuki attacked, and we will do so again if another village try to attack you. It is as simple as that. I would be a lesser man if I did not thank you, said Gaara. And while I certainly appreciate the fact that the problem was resolved, it was not done without bloodshed. Shinobis, do not list the words, Gaara. You will have to force him to act. If I had not done what I did, the Hidden Stone would have continued to strangle your trade until you decide to act. And who knows what would have happened at that point. I did what I did and Oniki left you with me. Gaara closed his eyes. Naruto said the same thing. Gaara knew that Oniki would not just drop the matter like that, but Tsunade was not going to back down either. Gaara's attention shifted towards the entrance of the room, as a woman was flanked by 2 men. His eyes went towards the top of her hat, as he saw the nation that she came from. So this is Kiri, leader. She was certainly a beautiful woman. Only one of her eye was visible, and she had a grace about her. She moved with absolute confidence, as she was not afraid of showing her worth. She knew that she was beautiful, and she had little problem showing it. She was also dangerous, you could feel it. One who reached her position had to be dangerous, as beautiful as she was. Someone like her could smile at you and poison your coffee at the same time. He glanced towards one of her guards. It was a young man, blue hair. He had a rather large sword strapped on his back, but he lacked confidence. Gar could see it from the way he was twitching a bit. The other one was an older man. He wore a black eye patch over one of his eyes, as he studied the entire room. He had heard that the rebellion in Kiri had been successful and the 4th Mizukage had been removed, who was the only Jinchuriki other than himself to lead a major village. The man had committed genocide on his people after a mental lapse. He slaughtered any and all bloodline users in his crusade. Tsunade Dano. Tsunade opened her eyes as she looked towards me, who was making her way towards her position. Tsunade returned her smile and got out of her seat. Mei Dano. She glanced behind her and gave Jiraiya a look, as he gave her an instant smile. As Mei reached her position, it is nice to finally meet the woman that aided in our rebellion. As the woman gave her a short bow. You're giving me too much credit. Your people were more than capable. My aid was not really necessary. Be that as it may, it was still more help than your predecessor gave. While I hate to acknowledge it, I was desperate for any aid I could find. My home was bleeding and my pride needed to be tossed aside. Tsunade nodded. Qualities of a great leader, she said. So they say. Her eyes shifted behind Tsunade. It's a shame that the one defeated Yagra is not here. Tsunade glanced towards Jiraiya. I specifically ordered the both of you to aid in the rebellion, not finish it. Well, said Jiraiya. You see, what happened was, shut up, she said. As Tsunade turned back to me, my subordinate, Jiraiya, has a hard time listening. It is why I have to beat it in their heads, Jiraiya. As Mei looked amused. I'm aware of the feeling, she said. I did not know that you were unaware of this particular knowledge. Well, it is what it is, said Tsunade. I cannot change what has already happened. It was a pleasure, she said. As Tsunade nodded, she made her way to greet Gaara. As Tsunade sat back down, this was going to be a long day. Time skip. A feeling of weightlessness overtook his body. What's happening? Sound. New. Senses. Everything. He felt his head sway from side to side before he started to grow accustomed to this situation. What was that noise? Was he underwater? Was his eyes open? Everything was black. What? Everything slammed into him at once. Color, sounds, vision, smell. They hit him with so much force. His eyes snapped open on instinct as he stood face to face with a man who was incredibly familiar. His head was ringing. He did not understand what was happening. Where was he? Who was... He had to close his eyes as all of his memories came crashing back. Ah, interesting. Such was the life of a shinobi. He glanced down towards his hands as he noticed the many cracks in his body, as he clenched and opened his fist, as he looked up towards the man that had killed him. Naruto Uzumaki. Itachi Uchiha, the Reaper of the clan, blinked several times as he looked around his surrounding. He was in a room with several seals over the walls. He was unable to sense anything inside the room. His eyes shifted. Behind Naruto was a man who had spiky red hair. His mask only covered the bottom half of his face. He possessed mismatched pupils, one being purple, the other one being red. His gaze shifted back to Naruto. Naruto-kun, I'm alive once again. I see the Tensei has been used once more. As Naruto pulled out a jar. These are your eyes. He then pulled out another jar. These belong to Shisui. Itachi raised his eyebrow. I'm surprised that you managed to save Shisui's other eye. As he handed both jars to the other Uzumaki behind him, as he unsealed another jar. And these belong to Obito Uchiha. You might be familiar with his alias, Tobe / Madara. Itachi's eyebrow furrowed for a single second before turning back to his normal state. You move really fast. How much time has passed since my death? Give or take 2 months. The only remaining members are Zetsu and Kisame. I've hunted the others down. Itachi was not surprised to hear that, as Naruto had proven to be incredibly strong when he fought him. It caught him off guard, but even pain? The man that held the invincible Rinnegan, as Naruto then placed the third jar towards the man, San. You're free to unseal a room. We don't need to use it. The red-headed teen, San, kneel as he placed 2 fingers on the ground. All the seals were sucked into the man. Do you wish for me to fetch Genji, your majesty? Asked San. As Naruto nodded, bring Konan as well. Itachi blinked in confusion. Your majesty? Konan? What was even happening? The Akatsuki will eventually fall. But there are some things I need to confirm, and you will aid in this. Itachi remained silent as a mentor saw Konan entered with a Uzumaki symbol on her chest, the insignia. His eyes shifted towards the man accompanying Konan as he frowned. Something was wrong. He couldn't sense this man at all. Without looking at him, he could not even tell if he was here or not. Ah, the Reaper himself. An intimidating man, your majesty, said Genji. His tone sounded rather amused, as Naruto rolled his eyes in annoyance. As Konan glanced towards Naruto, how much control do you have over him? Enough, said Naruto, as he saw her piercing gaze. It will be fine, Konan. As her gaze returned back to him. I do not like this plan, Naruto, she said. Neither do I, but it is necessary. I need answers, and only Uchiha can answer them. As perplexed he was about the entire situation, Itachi did not say anything as he just watched the entire scene in front of him unfold. Konan, who used to be a former Akatsuki member, was now working with Naruto. And that man had called Naruto your majesty. And the red hair. Were the Uzumakis? And the symbol, yes, it made sense. He wondered, was Naruto still associated with Konoha? If not, how was the world at this moment? Or the village? He watched as Naruto raised his hand and held it out to Konan. Itachi realized that she was hesitant before she pulled out a scroll, her hand shaking slightly, as she took a breath in and then out, as she placed the scrolls in his hand. Please, be careful with them, she said. I will, you have my word, said Naruto. As Konan nodded, as Naruto unsealed what was inside, a jar appeared in his palm, and inside was the Rinnegans. Itachi, how much do you know about the Nakura Shrine, said Naruto. Time skip. The meeting was going well. Well, it had been going well. Oniki would throw some passive-aggressive comments at Tsunade. She would just ignore him or throw back some petty insults. The other Kages, even A of all people, tried to steer the summit back to the main reason why it was called. It was a repeating cycle, and Tsunade was about to punch the little midget through the wall until he showed up. A monstrous amount of chakra flooded the room. As a familiar yellow flash appeared, all 16 individuals had their gaze locked onto the man in the center of the room. A man that only a select few recognized. A man that wasn't supposed to be here. A man? No. A king stood in the center of the room. As the blonde man opened his eyes and looked at each and every one of them, his arms full across his chest as orange pigments form around his eyes. His pupils shift into a toad-like bar. Kages, it is time that we talk, he said. But guys, be and subscribe right here for us next part, and do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to stay tuned for the brand new episodes coming over Anime King and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly, you have not been mistaken. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.